daughter went to boarding school at the beginning of Year 8, aged 11 and a half. In Year 8, she went to Wilderness School in Adelaide. She was an identified gifted learner, and Wilderness appeared to have the facilities in the program that would accommodate her needs, which they did. Her boarding experience was very positive. She achieved very well within the school environment because they were able to differentiate her curriculum and cater to her idiosyncrasies and allow her to be herself and be the person that she was within the safety of the school environment without everything being too conscripted and prescriptive, whereby she would have probably disengaged and done very little and turned into a menace. As it was, they accommodated her outstandingly well. The whole experience was really positive. She's made some lifelong friends, both in the boarding community, the day school, and with members of staff. And I just can't say enough good things about her boarding experience at Wilderness School.
I knew from the minute, when they were 5 years old and went to school, that they were going to boarding school. So they knew as well, like they were always told that they were going to boarding school, and we knew that we sent them away at 13, 12 or 13, and that's what had to happen because we didn't have access to a school in our area. They had distance ed primary and they had to go to boarding school to access the school.
And what were your experience like? Your children's experience?
Well, my first one, because she was a little more innocent than the others because she had no knowledge, probably a little bit more difficult for her because such a big world out there, and she'd had quite a protective life at home really. But she settled in really well, and we encouraged her to join any clubs and after school activities that she could, which she did. She probably had too many for a while there, but it filled up her time and saved her getting too homesick. She was a little homesick.
Did you notice much change in her when she...
Oh, she grew up so quickly. They really grow up quickly when they come home.
Yeah. So you had 3 children?
I had 3 children.
And what years were they?
I've got one in Year 12 and she's nearly finished. I've got one in Year 11. They all went in Grade 8 and one in Year 9. And my boy in the middle, he just trotted off. Nothing worries him, so he was a bit more prepared because he had his sister there to tell him a few things about school. The little one, she was ready and raring to go. She couldn't wait to get there, and she has never had a problem. Settled in really well.
Made him a lot stronger, a lot more confident. Learned to, because he was an only child on distance ed for 9 years, learned to get on along with other people, to learn to live with all sorts of people. A lot more confident. Be independent, a lot more independent. Yes.
So how do you go when you first arrived at boarding school? Did you have much contact with him?
Yes, but not every day. Luckily, after the first 2 days, he settled in. I think I had more trouble coping than he did. Because he was ready to sort of go. He was in Grade 9. He was ready to have his own friends and sort of be around more people. So yeah, I suppose spoke to him once a week or whatever, but it wasn't a constant thing. And I figured no contact. Oh well, why he wasn't ringing up crying, everything was fine and he was happy.
I think one of the best things about boarding school is I think it teaches your children to be a bit more organised and a bit of responsibility for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's one thing I think is really good.
And another major thing I think is the socialisation factor. Like most of us, the reason the kids are going to boarding school is because there's no school with the appropriate age for the child to attend out west, they've either been to distance ed where there's very little, social interaction, sport, any of that sort of thing, or they've been to small schools, often little one-teacher schools with the same thing. Kids have come from isolated areas, so at boarding school they're in a situation where they're living, with a whole lot of other, boys or girls their age, and they're doing sport and, things that they haven't done. That's a big, big positive, being involved in sport.
My big thing was opening up. There's a whole bigger world out there for my son, other than his little isolated area where he lives. Like if he goes to just a high school, they all live in the same town and the same community. He goes to school with kids from
There's just
Dubai,
another side of
Hong
life.
Kong, Northern Territory, New South Wales, Victoria, and so he sees that there's a whole bigger world out there than just his little where he grew up. Yeah, and that whole, what Donna said, he's just becoming independent. He knows he's got to get his clothes into the wash basket and down to the laundry and get himself to have a feed, and if he's run out of something he has to go to the shops and get it himself instead of mum.
It also gives them contacts for life, you know.
Yeah.
When they're boarders, they're probably forced out of their comfort zone a little bit. You know, they often learn fairly quickly to make friends with the day boys because that's their avenue to get out on a weekend. So they're meeting, people that are so far removed from the life that they've come from, and in return, a lot of the day boys that they've become friends with come out west, and so there's that interaction.
And some of those boys then go, oh, I might go and Jackaroo for a year.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So it opens them up to where their food comes from, basically. Yeah, it's a good thing.
How did they cope when they first started?
I bawl their eyes out. So did mum.
I think all children handle that differently. I think some do it tough and they wouldn't tell you that they're sad, or like I had a few of my children, the first three never shed a tear. The last one cries constantly.
Same here.
But only to me, and I know that once she's got off the phone, she's busy and she's
okay.
fine, but it's just hearing you. And I think we do it just as tough too when you first send them away. Like it's not as much as you can say it's a great thing, and my children would say it was the best thing we ever did for them, because like these ladies said, it teaches them to communicate with all sorts of different people, so
you'd like to think that later on down the track that they think, well, but it is hard because you only got your kids for a really short period, and if you send them away like
When they're 12 years old.
I sent mine away when he was 10, he went in grade 6. So I had to do that for his education. That's pretty tough. He's gone in a couple of years' time, and I've missed out on pretty well 8 years of his life if he leaves school when he's 18. So it is tough, but
I think
you're doing the right thing by it.
There's a lot less people, I think, in the rural industry that are sending them away because of the cost of boarding school. I think there's more and more day students that are boarding, aren't they? Like
Yeah, there are.
more
Yeah.
and more
Well, the thing
overseas
is,
students, or
the cost-
Australians are working overseas, mining and that sort of thing as well.